I'm glad I just got put on video.
Hi, my name is... Do I say hi?
Yeah, if you want to. That's fine. Noise.
Makes you think.
Yes, that's true.
My name is Marina.
Just like towards you. Yeah. Just like the camera loves you, Marina. Ready?
I'm David Stevenson, I'm 41. I work at Warwick School in the West Midlands, UK, where I'm head of classics.
And I'm Alexandra Boyd, and I live in Norwich. I work at Norwich School, and I'm 35.
We both attended Durham University.
I was a student on the summer school, and I was in, Steve, you taught me once, something we did in year 4 and the Millionaire's Dinner Party. And when I was at university, I came here as a student, and that's how I got into being a tutor here. So obviously I know him through the summer school.
My name is Marina Curtis. I'm 16 and I go to Collier's College.
Hi, my name is Emily and I'm 16 and I go to Rodine School in Brighton. Primary school is ages 4 to 11, and then secondary school is 11 till 16, and then sixth form is 16 to 18. So when you're 16 you take GCSEs, and then at 17 you take AS levels, and at 18 you take A levels. It's £9,000 a year for the university, and then accommodations normally 2,000.
Do you attend a public or private school?
I attend a public school.
I go to a private school.
The difference between a public school and a private school is a public school is funded by the state and it's much more controlled by the government, whereas a private school has a lot more freedom and is funded by individuals and you have to pay to go.
So when I was 13 we had to choose our GCSE choices. So you eliminate like 4 or 5 subjects, so you end up with only 11 maximum, and for me that wasn't such a big deal because I didn't like the ones that I dropped, but for some people it was making a choice between like art and drama or geography and history.
Well, it depends. I think if you start what we call year 7, which is when they're 11 years old, our average class size is no bigger than 25. When you get up into around GCSE, so when they start GCSE course normally when they're about 14, 15, a lot of schools will sort of limit the numbers to 15, but I mean I've got a class at a Latin set that have got 20, and then once you get into A level obviously it becomes a little bit more specialised, so I've currently got 11 studying it in the lower 6, but that's really unusually high. Most times it's about 5 or 6. Greek it's like 1 or 2.
Varies drastically.
Yeah.
I mean,
passive a little bit higher, 15 maybe, that kind of class size. But certainly with the younger kids, the ceiling tends to be in our type of school is about 25, whereas if you go into the state sector that's the government run, the public sector essentially, you're talking about 30.
Homework for us, it's a lot less important than I guess for you, because it doesn't count towards any end grade, and it's more of make a poster on this or revise for your test. It's not this is for your grade, it's just helping you get along in your work. If you don't do your homework, there's no real repercussion except for maybe a detention. It has no effect on overall where you're going in life.
So homework, so this year we were doing our GCSEs, so homework was basically just revise, but in the past and I think in the future there will be a lot more homework that's essay writing, and the teachers will literally just say write this essay for homework or read the whole of this text for homework. And at its peak I had like an hour for every subject, so when you're doing about 10 subjects that's 10 hours a week or so. You have to do your homework if you don't want to get told off. But at my school there's not much of a punishment. You just end up with like a mark on your name saying you haven't done it.
How would you find it if your grades were, participation was considered for your grades?
I think that'd be very odd, just because having participation be part of your grade is like, just because you're participating doesn't mean you're actually good at that subject, and it's about being able to do that subject, not about just putting your hand up and asking a question.
I think it tests really well how hard they've been prepared to work, and I think Latin's unusual in that actually you have to have a lot of ability linguistically, certainly to cope with an A level in Latin. Even if you've got a good memory to learn all the literature stuff off by heart, you have actually got to cope with some quite hard, unseen Latin or Greek text. So I think if you can cope with an A level in Latin, you're showing you're pretty damn good at Latin, rather than lucky or just good at exams.
Getting into university is basically, you just need the grades. Yeah. So performing well in the exams is the main stress. Well, my brother didn't do so well, so I'm the clever one in the family. But I don't know, my dad prefers my dad prefers to hang out with me because I'm clever, and then my mum prefers to hang out with my brother. I don't know.
Maybe the actual work, because there's a big step from GCSE work to A-level work. It's very different. Like maths, for instance, GCSE is a lot more simple than the A-level maths.
My parents didn't start saving for university, I don't think, because we can always take out student loans, and that's what they assumed that I would do. And I think they want me to get into the best university, for example Oxford and Cambridge, but any university is pretty good here. So I like to do sports in my spare time, for example hockey and netball. And I play in a school team, but I wasn't particularly artistic or drama anyway, so not really an option. What would I change? I don't know. I think everything's been good, to be honest. I'd like to do more public speaking, so having taken drama GCSE might have been a good move.
There's nothing I would really change about my education experience. I think it's been good. I might have maybe wanted to take the scholarships that were offered to me to go to private schools, but I just never took them, and I don't know, it would be interesting to see where I would be now if I had. I didn't really feel like I had to cut anything out of my life, purely because I only really wanted to take classics maybe 2 years ago, and before that I'd really been into biology and stuff like that, and I was able to take on an extra GCSE to do Latin and just go from there. So you can change your mind whenever you want, I think, really.
Yeah, I think my education gives me a very fulfilled outlook.
Personally, I don't think my education gives me a sense of fulfillment and achievement. I find that in other things. For example, I coach children in trampolining, and I find that quite fulfilling, and I learnt sign language, and I think that's quite a nice thing to do. And I like playing in a volleyball team because it makes me feel like I'm a team member. I do have a passion for learning because I think it's what you need to get somewhere in life. Instead of being for school, like I have to do this for school, it's more like, oh, I think this is interesting, so I'm going to do it. Like there's no real like, I have to get this done. It's kind of like a more casual thing to do.
So it's like, this is going to be a tough question, but why bother if it doesn't help you get anywhere?
Ooh. I guess the point of bothering with extracurricular stuff is it helps you keep fit, it helps you become a more rounded person, you can do it with your friends, and also it does look good on university application. Even though they don't count it, they do want someone who's not purely about the grades. I think attending a state school, which is all girls, it helps build your confidence because you're not nervous about there being lots of boys around, but it also brings down your confidence because girls can be quite negative towards each other, and there was definitely a lot of like behind the door talking about other people.
I think it's fine, easy to stay positive.
So there's never, like, do you have, besides the education part of it, is there any like aspects of like drama or anything, or do you feel like it's basically being smooth sailing?
I go to an all-girls school, so like there's no boyfriend drama.
When I first started teaching, I taught at an all-girls school in London, which I found quite difficult. I wasn't very well suited to teaching all girls. And I also found it quite difficult living in London on a sort of beginning teaching salary, because it's a very expensive city. So I moved to Norwich and went to Norwich School, which is an all-boys school. It's now co-ed, so there are boys and girls. And it's a day school, so I don't have to work on a Saturday, which is really nice. In theory, we finish at 4, although that doesn't obviously normally happen with extracurricular. I think I would say that your average day school can be very intense and very, very, very busy, but really rewarding. I like the children most, I like it when I'm teaching. There's a lot of other stuff that comes with teaching, I think, in this country, that the emails, the reports, the marking, that isn't as much fun, I think. But on the whole, I can't think of doing any other job.
I've been at Warwick School for 7 years, but the majority of my career before that was in boarding schools, and they're great places, but you don't tend to spend enough time thinking about the subject that you're teaching. You spend a lot of time doing all the other full-on extracurricular stuff, and it's only been at Warwick that I've really felt like I've prioritised the teaching of my own subject and learning more about my own subject. So as much as I miss boarding schools, I think good day schools are great places to teach. I think the issue is the emphasis placed on it by the curriculum, not by the kids. I mean, Latin has to take its place in the market, and the provision within schools varies drastically depending where you are. I mean, I'd imagine we're quite similar, relatively lucky. They might get an hour and a half to a couple of hours a week when they begin it, if they're lucky, and then when they take it as an optional GCSE, they'll get the same time as other optional subjects. But I know a lot of schools struggle a lot more than that, and they're forced to do it in their lunch times or do it on much less time, which has a negative knock-on onto the numbers as much as anything else. So the answer to that question is it varies an awful lot from school to school.
Yeah, I think to a degree there can be an element of, we refer to it as spoon feeding, where essentially a teacher will teach to the exam, so they'll train them how to pass a particular exam which is quite a different thing from teaching a subject. I think generally on the whole, classics teachers tend not to do that, because I think as a breed we're quite passionate about our subject. And so the most important thing for us is that we sort of engender this love of the subject, and if the bonus of that is that you end up coming out with a really good grade, then that's fantastic. I think that the ongoing result, the reason that spoon feeding has come in is because of the importance in results. So there's been much more pressure put on teachers and then on schools because of we get league tables and so on how good the results are, that teachers feel that they have to get really good results. So it doesn't matter if whereas in the past you might have said, well, they got a B, they're not that bright, but that's okay. Now everyone has to get A's, everyone has to get A stars. And I think the result of that is that they then go on to university, and of course they've been so supported, they've been so helped by their teachers, that then when they have to be more independent in their learning, as they do at university, they suddenly sort of crumble. So I think it's more a question of, I don't think the GCSEs and A-levels necessarily prepare them for that ability to be independent learners, and that's where they sort of come unstuck when they get onto the higher education side of things. I think definitely. I think most teachers are in some ways we're performers. I think we're at our happiest when we're standing in front of a classroom of children, and I find it a lot easier talking to you guys when you're all sitting in the hall, and even if there are 113 of you, than I would delivering to 20 adults, I think. So it's a different kind of confidence that you get. It's fantastic to give a child, I think particularly when you're teaching a language, that fear of getting something wrong when you do a translation, and then when you see that they become more confident and willing to take a risk, that's really rewarding. But yeah, I think definitely I've become more confident in terms of that kind of thing.
So what do you consider your greatest achievement?
I haven't gotten my GCSE results yet, but they might be one of my greatest achievements. And I I got to the final of a chemistry competition, and I got my academic scholarship to my school, which was pretty good.
What do you consider your greatest achievement?
You first.
Actually, that's quite easy for me. Learning Latin. Because I started with Class Civ, because I never had the opportunity to learn Latin when I came to school in England, because I grew up abroad. And then decided I wanted to be a classics teacher. I was told that I needed to learn Latin, so I learned Latin at university. So started off at the age of almost 19, learning Latin from scratch. And I think within 3-4 years, my Latin had to be good enough so that I could teach texts to A level, having never sat an A level in Latin in my life. And I think, the fact that I can now quite comfortably do that and feel confident teaching, right up to A2, and it's taken me a long time, and it's been hard work. But I think there's the fact that I've taken an unusual route and stuck at it, and now I can quite happily read. Well, maybe not quite happily all the time, but read Virgil and Seneca that's a huge achievement actually from my point of view.
I have no greatest achievement.
What do you personally consider your greatest achievement? Not whatever, like another person. Like, what do you say? Like, what I'm really proud of this.
Me.
Just really proud of being yourself.
Look at me. No, I won. One of my greatest achievements might have been that I won a national writing competition.
I think professionally, the most satisfying experience I've had has been. So this is my second department that I'm head of at Warwick School, and it's a good school, fairly academic, good department. It's harder, therefore, to show improvement. The previous department I ran was not like that, and I took a huge amount of pleasure in managing to improve the sort of numbers of people choosing Latin at this other school. Managed to bring in classical civilization as a subject that it hadn't offered before. Got to really think about extracurricular enrichment, what speakers to bring in, what trips to go on. And I'd like to think I turned a department from one thing into something else. I mean, it had plenty more to do when I left, and hopefully my successor continue to develop it. But in terms of looking back at feeling like one's made a difference, that would be my most obvious example.
It's a good example.
I heard you say, meet you in the long grass. Something good about take it. Go. We're away.
I like her. What's your greatest achievement?
Next to
Please, not today.
Hey, Ellen, what's your greatest achievement?
I can't.
Ellen, what's your greatest achievement?
Go away.
Come on, Ellen.
No, leave me alone.
Not the camera, please. Please.
No paparazzi. My greatest achievement is being famous enough for Hayley to want my opinion. Okay, so my greatest achievement would be having lived in Brussels. I feel like that has helped me to be more culturally aware, and so I feel like it's helped me grow as a person, and that's my greatest achievement.
I don't know. There we go. See, nobody knows what the greatest achievement is.
It's spontaneous. It doesn't have to be school related.
Well, I think probably just kind of making as many friends as I have, because I find it really hard to get along with people, and just having a few friends has just been amazing. So just in general.
Oh, my greatest achievement. That would probably be
what you say.
probably when I managed to write a story that was pretty alright. It was pretty good. It was 20 chapters long, and it was published in school, and people seemed to like it, and I was pretty proud of it. That's probably my greatest achievement.
I am Young Poet of the Year because I'm cool.
I would say my greatest achievement is being a world champion dancer, which is true.
Should have thought about this earlier. I would say I have no great achievements.
Oh. So what's your greatest achievement?
Well, I haven't actually lived long enough to know to even have many achievements, let alone have a greatest one.